not promote or promotion any illegal activities. All content provided by this channel is meant only for educational purpose only.
Years old, life in a flash. Eddie O'Brien's dreams turned to ash.
Oh yeah, let's go, man. Free Eddie. Come on now.
Justice was blind, just heard the cries. In 95, when the law turned cold, a tale of the super predator, truth untold. The DA's game, playing with fate, manipulated minds, sealing Eddie's slate. Never fall. Exculpatory truths left on the shelf. Margot Nash folk revealing the stealth. Turning pages, the story unfolds. The politics of murder, a truth bold, and in every corner the whispers of doubt. A system that's rigged. Uncover the truth for justice's sake. No more suppression, let the voices ring. Together we rise, it's a hell of a thing. We'll sign the petition, take back the night. Fighting for Eddie, we'll win this fight. Oh Eddie, hold on tight. We're dancing for the truth tonight. Break the chains, let the world see. Your voice is strong, it's time to be free. Justice for Eddie, justice for all. We'll rise together, we'll never fall.
In the halls of the state,
More
they
than
were
half
building
alive
state.
in a crowded cage, but
Had a
knows no
timeline to meet.
bounds. It's never too late. Hear the rhythm, feel the
Reilly
beat. Justice is coming, can't accept defeat. No more shadows, let the truth shine bright. Eddie O'Brien, ready for the fight.
But the Constitution says the scales must be fair.
Hearts are raised, dancing for justice. We're entering a new phase. Fight for Eddie, let the world know. We're standing together.
Locked it away.
We're ready to go.
Deep in a cardboard cage. Oh, out of the light of day. Oh, they locked it all up in the Brady box, secured by a system of political locks. They hid the unsealed notes. They hid the design to keep an innocent man doing 30 years of time. But the hinges are rusted. is about to cave in.
Turning pages, the story unfolds. The politics of the murder. The truth is bold and in every corner. The whispers you doubt. A system that's rigged can't you break. We shout when the prosecutor's bars is way too long and innocent heart. Whereas the defense is moving, the violence is done. Hold on tight. We're dancing for the truth tonight. Break the chains, let the world see. Your voice is strong. It's time to be free. Justice for Eddie, justice for all. We'll rise together. We'll never fall. Reevaluate, we're raising the stakes. Time to uncover the truth for justice's sake. No more suppression, let the voices ring. Together we rise, it's a hell of a thing. We'll sign the petition, take back the night. Fighting for Eddie, we'll win this fight.
Strips for all time.
Hold on
For the
tight.
first siren.
We're dancing for
the
the
yellow
truth
line.
tonight. Break the
Kid from the
chains,
corner.
let the world
Town in a
see.
cage.
Your voice is strong. It's
Trade
time to
is
be
easy.
free.
Go to the front
Justice
page.
for Eddie, justice for
Very
all.
long
We'll rise
years in
together.
shadow bound.
We'll never fall.
For a story they meant.
More than half a life in a crowded cage, but hope knows no bounds. It's never too late. Hear the rhythm, feel the beat. Justice is coming, can't accept defeat.
Damn, too many computers. Look, see? I'm talking and one is coming out that one. What is going on, everybody, today, man? Too many computers going on. We got too many computers up here. Look, look. I got one here, right? I got the camera, right? Camera, right? Computer, computer, computer. And I got two more computers over here. They're not on, but you know, I got a Go XLR over here. I got the Roland synthesizer over there. I got another camera back. Oh, you can't even see me. I'm over here pointing and shit. They can't even see me. Like, duh. What's going on, everybody? How we doing? You know, we getting ready for the 7th. You know, I think it's gonna be very, very good. You know, if everyone has a chance, go check out the Harbor Lounge. They had a great show last night with the O'Briens. You know, I have to check it out myself. You know, but y'all know I work third shift and get very, very busy, and I know them 8 o'clock times a very, very good time to stream, and I wish I could. I mean, the only way I could is if I like pre-recorded it and set it up for, but what's going on, everybody, today? What is happening? I see that kid in Ohio is trying to say he's innocent. That's going to be tough because he took a plea bargain. So, and usually everybody that, I mean, once you settle down a few months, you really start to have, second thoughts about a lot of this stuff, but, what do we got here? What is this? All right, we got the Give, Send, Go. Go check this link out. You want to donate to help Eddie. And you could pre-order Margot's book right here. Here is the link for that. The new 10 chapters. There are going to be some books available on the 7th. I don't know how many. a limited amount, but you could pre-order, at that link. And here is for the new chapters, I believe. Miss Denise, is putting that up. And from our house, I know me and my wifey say, "What's up, Denise?" She has a mouthful right now. Not what y'all think.
Yeah.
Not what y'all think. 30 books. What are we going to do with 30 books? Tell her to hold one for me. I'll pick it up on the 7th. I'll give her the money on the 7th.
Absolutely.
I'll text her. Send her a message. But listen, man, I'm pretty excited for the 7th. I'm pretty excited. I'm honored, actually, that Ed would ask me to, to talk about, to give a small presentation, a timeline, talk to the people a little bit about the case. I'm kind of excited about it. I feel honored.
Absolutely.
I feel honored. Don't forget, go check out the episode we have on Eddie Wright. That's going to be very, very good. We already made, where the reservations are being made for a hotel. Yep, so we're going to get a hotel up there, and I'll end up grabbing a rental car for the ride because, it is a nice little ride from where I'm at there. So, I'll make sure I bring my computer, bring microphone. I'm not sure if they have microphones at the VFW, but if not, I'll bring a nice little setup. I'll bring a nice little setup. I heard my name was mentioned a few times last night on the stream. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the love out there. Y'all are great, everybody. It's going to be exciting when we can finally have Eddie walking out of Gardner. I'm very excited for that because I really think after going over all of this evidence, and I hope I made a difference to y'all, I really hope people was able to understand certain things because I know what courtroom, that crap that they tell you in the courtroom, a lot of people don't understand shit that they be saying. They don't understand much about anything. So today because we're going into, we haven't really talked about the juvenile hearings, the juvenile transfer hearings. And I think that the juvenile transfer hearings is very, very important. And it's actually more important to flip the transfer hearings. If we could flip the transfer hearings, Eddie walks out. Eddie walks out, even with a new trial. Eddie's done with time served. Now, say it's the DNA that gets flipped. Well, Eddie gets a new trial, and if they decide to try him again, he will be tried with the life sentence again. So the DNA is going to be helpful, but the transfer hearings is going to be huge. That's what needs to be, flipped right there, the transfer hearings. I got a new video that I've been working on, some pitches that I got, and shout out to at Denise and at Sherry Lee for the pitches, they went and got us some nice pitches, and shout out to the people, that allowed them to come into their home. Can I get mine, hon?
Yeah.
that allowed them to come into their home and take some pictures. You know, I was uploading it earlier. I don't know if it ever got. Let me check. No, it didn't go. So let me see.
That's why I can't eat this stuff.
Make this members only. Crescendo. So let me give this a chance to upload. Just bear with me. Give Matt a chance to upload. Everything's just going crazy today, people. Everything is going nuts. I'm trying to get the Heffernan stuff up. Here we go. Interview with Judge Heffernan. I have so much trouble saying this guy's name. All right, so let me just get a quick song and I'll be right back.
Cellmark, your chosen lab expert in the game. Tested the blood, telling the world the name. Yo, they said it, yo, 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 yo. It said it, yo, back from the cells. In a world made of shadows, where the truth feels far away, you find yourself behind bars for a price you didn't pay. Fight your case with every breath you take, standing on your truth in the face of all this heartbreak. I didn't do this, you shout, but they turn their heads away, ignoring echoes of your innocence. You face another day. And what does the parole board say? Drowning in the protocol. You show no remorse. You're not fitting the role at all. How you gonna take responsibility for a storm you didn't cause? Like blaming someone for the rain just because they were outdoors. The system don't care about your truth, they care about compliance. Confess to a crime uncommitted. That's your only guidance. It's a trapdoor either way. No escape from their design. Parole board wants confessions, not a hint of reason or a sign. Not seeking justice, but looking for neat boxes checked as they mold a simple story, leaving your truth wrecked. 20 years in, you still stand tall, saying I didn't do this. They don't celebrate your honesty. It's lost in all the mess. How you gonna take responsibility for a storm you didn't cause? Like blaming someone for the rain just because they were outdoors. The system don't care about your truth, they care about compliance. Confess to a crime uncommitted. That's your only guidance. This ain't rehabilitation. Oh, it's coercion without it. How can a man find freedom when guilt is where they pretend?
Let's get it, man. The Route 30 hammer. Shout out to Freebird. Alrighty then. I think I'm together now. I think you already know I start off slow. Nope, not on mute this time. I start off slow. The other day, the last time I was up on here, I went over the docket, and I know for a lot of people that was probably like, whoa, this is just too much. And some of the stuff maybe wasn't making sense, but I think it was important to go over the docket, to show you just how sloppy it was, right? How corrupted it was. You know, it was just another blow after blow after blow to the defense. I mean, they kept trying to knock evidence out, and the judge kept saying no. No, you had the truth serum, the polygraph law, you know, the sodium amytal, the polygraph evidence, the judge wouldn't let them use the truth serum interview and a lie detector test. But I bet if that went the other way, they would have let the Commonwealth use it. The Commonwealth didn't want it. Of course, they didn't want it. They had the DNA fight going back and forth over that, blocking the profiling. How do you not trust your own? I don't know. It just, a lot of the shit just didn't even, you know, like, and Eddie was young at the time. He had no idea what was going on. He was hearing a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo. I mean, it was a war, like DNA versus truth serum, polygraph versus profiling, both sides fighting, both sides trying to control, both sides trying to see what the jury is going to hear. But, what did the jury hear? Nothing. The jury heard nothing, really. Nothing that would have helped Eddie. The evidence that gets in is just as important as the evidence that gets left out. So we went through the docket because I wanted to show you people how screwed up it was. How this was a full-blown courtroom street fight. Both sides were throwing paperwork like they were throwing punches. You know what I mean? You got to see the strategy, the colluding. I like to break it down so y'all can understand it. I'm not concerned that we don't have 400 people up in here. Enough people hear it. The judges were all like, either the judge didn't want to sit on the case, or they didn't want to shit on Reilly and his pals. They had a lot of connections. Even Dr. Barnum. Heffernan thought he could trust Dr. Barnum. But you know what? Dr. Barnum feared Reilly a little more than Heffernan. Barnum understood how dangerous it was to disappoint Tom Reilly. He knew that Tom Reilly wasn't a man that you should disappoint. It wasn't no secret back then. Nobody wonders after I'm surprised that nobody even wonders after the nanny trial, when the jury came back guilty. That's Reilly's office now. And the judge was like, nope, time out, time served. I had enough with your office. A coward. Nice. What's a one word for Dr. Barnum? Don't forget you can pre-order your books. You know, I will be dropping another link. It should be in the chat already. So what we have here back in 2016, this is an interview with Judge Paul Heffernan, you know, and Charlotte Whitmore, Morgan Sellers, and Brooke Hartley. I believe they were either the attorneys or the investigators. You know, so we're going to go over this and we'll break it down a little bit. You know, well, Judge Heffernan recalled that based on the evidence, there was probable cause to believe that Eddie was guilty. Oh, give me a second. Hang on. The only question in Heffernan's mind is currently whether or not Eddie should have been tried as an adult. According to Heffernan, there were significant political pressures involved in this case from the very beginning. Despite the fact that Heffernan believes any jury would have likely convicted Eddie based on the evidence presented. Well, yeah, presented. I mean, what evidence did they really present? Outside pressures that should not have affected the case at all play a role in trying and convicting Eddie as an adult. See that? Despite the fact that he believes a jury would have likely convicted Eddie based on the evidence, he said outside pressures that should not have affected the case at all played a role in trying and convicting Eddie as an adult. According to Heffernan, nothing was going to save this kid. Wow. That's a big statement right there coming from a judge. Nothing. And I think even Margot Nash mentioned that in her book. I couldn't save you know, Heffernan couldn't save the 16 Chapels couldn't save you know, the Book of Revelations. You know, nothing could save Eddie at this point. You know, Reilly was just too powerful. But Wells, you know, that connection, the Bud connection, the Wells connection, you know, whether Eddie was guilty or not, what was going to save him? And Heffernan chose Dr. Barnum to examine Eddie because he believed Dr. Barnum was an excellent, insightful, right, behavioral, you know, scientist. Heffernan said that he trusted Barnum to give an unbiased opinion. Boy, that bit him in the ass. You know, and at the time, Heffernan realized that he was asking a lot of Dr. Barnum. Since it was such a high-profile case, however, Barnum took the case gladly despite these pressures because according to Judge Heffernan, Eddie did not answer Barnum's questions at first because Eddie's counsel had advised him to remain silent. And this put Eddie in a tough spot, says Heffernan, right? Since he did not admit or deny the allegations against him. When asked about Barnum, the addendum to his report that may have been partly responsible for the SJC reversal of Heffernan's opinion and the second transfer hearing rule. Wow. So Eddie didn't answer the doctor's questions at first because Eddie's counsel had told him to remain silent. So it says, when asked about Barnum's addendum to his report, that may have been partly responsible for the SJC's reversal on Heffernan's opinion in the second transfer hearing rule. And give me a minute and I will break that down for you. Let me check some of the comments for a second. Yeah, it's good to buy. You know, you order it now, you should have it in time before the 7th, I believe. It's all right. You can spell his name wrong. Set off all the alarms. Denise said she's too busy listening. She set off the alarm in the store. Hope he wasn't running out with the coach purse. This is why her friends call her Lucy. Reilly needed his agenda. Reilly needs something. You know, he definitely needed something. So what do you think about so far what we've read on this report? May have been partly responsible for the SJC's reversal of the opinion of the second transfer hearing rule. So what do you think? So now, when asked about Barnum's addendum to his report that may have been partly responsible, and I think this part is crucial because Barnum's addendum wasn't just a footnote, right? It was the damn grenade that blew up Heffernan's ruling and gave the SJC the excuse that they needed to yank the case out of juvenile court, from what I understand. See, Barnum's addendum, you know, when Judge Paul Heffernan was asked about Dr. Barnum's addendum, right, it's just something extra, I guess, that was tacked on to the psych report, from what I understand, right? He didn't kind of avoid the question. I mean, he didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't pretend it was harmless or anything. He said the addendum helped flip the entire case, not because the science was groundbreaking, not because it revealed some new truth about Eddie O'Brien, but because it gave the SJC, I guess, the political cover to reverse Heffernan's decision. That's all it did. It gave them, you know, now they knew they had some politicians that they can hide behind and send Eddie up the river to the big house, like they would say it. Now, let me break down what this means, right? Because I've been working on this for a couple of days. Actually, for a couple of weeks. Actually, for like a month and since JoJo, actually. That's how long I've been trying to get this figured out so I can kind of break it down for y'all the way it needs to be. Heffernan ended up choosing Barnum, right, for one reason only. Do you know why? He trusts the little snaky bastard. He trusts the dude. Why? I have no idea. He just trusts him. Why? Who knows? You know, he picked Dr. Barnum because he believed Dr. Barnum was a good behavioral therapist. Somebody just pulled in. You know, he's a good behavioral therapist, right? He said he was unbiased. He said he was professional. Wonder who that is. If it's a constable, I'm not here. if anyone coming to serve me, I'm not here. God damn. You know, we don't answer the constables. But the part that Heffernan didn't see, Heffernan said that he trusted Barnum to give a neutral opinion. Barnum wasn't operating in a neutral world, though. He wasn't. He was more afraid of what Reilly could do. Barnum was operating in Tom Reilly's world. Heffernan got played. See, Reilly trusted Barnum too, but for a different reason, right? Because Barnum knew better. Right? Reilly trusted Barnum because Barnum understood the politics. He understood the rules, the law, the way shit is going to go down. You know, Barnum knew exactly what would happen if he wrote anything that made Eddie look treatable, redeemable, juvenile, not a super predator. Right? Barnum knew Reilly would destroy him, eat him alive. Privately and professionally, if he crossed Reilly's narrative. See, Heffernan, I don't think he even realized that at the time. Heffernan thought, right, he was choosing just a decent stand-up scientist, right? He didn't realize he was choosing somebody that was terrified of disappointing the district attorney, soon to be attorney general, right? So now, Barnum's original report, I don't think it wasn't enough to justify transferring Eddie to adult court, right? So Barnum, he had to add in the addendum. And that's basically a second section, clarification, maybe a little more thought into this case. Let me give my expert, let me tell you a little bit more about Eddie O'Brien. That's what the addendum is. The addendum is not neutral, right? The addendum leaned into the prosecution's narrative. It gave the SJC exactly what they needed to basically say, see, even the damn doctors think Eddie should be treated like an adult. Is this crazy, though? The corruption that went on in this case is kind of like, it blows my effing mind. So Heffernan ends up, right, he says that the addendum, right, was partly responsible for them reversing his ruling. Right? The second transfer hearing, Eddie being pushed into adult court, all of that shit. Barnum's addendum didn't just influence the case, it changed the outcome of Eddie's entire freaking life. That's what it did. It changed the outcome of Eddie's entire life. You know, why did the addendum matter so much, they ask, right? Because the SJC, they needed justification, right? They needed something that they could point and say, all right, look, we're following guidelines. He wrote an addendum. We're not being political, right? We're following what the experts' opinions are. And Barnum's addendum gave them that leaf. They gave them that extra push that they needed. And it didn't matter if the shit was shaky. No, it didn't matter. It didn't matter if it contradicted other parts of the original report. Imagine writing an addendum and it's contradicting other pieces of the report. You know, it didn't matter if Barnum was under pressure or anything, right? It mattered because it was what? It was useful. Useful to who? In the back, anybody? Anybody. That's right. Very good. The district attorney. Class, what is a district attorney? Yes, he is a politician. And politicians use what? Narratives. There we go. What did we learn today? We learned today that, what did we learn? Barnum was useful to the DA, useful to the narrative, and nothing was going to save this kid. Oh, yes, we got 5 gifted memberships, man. Congratulations to the 5 lucky people getting a free membership today. Shout out to Miss Courtney, man. Always keeping it real, coming through with the memberships, man. I love when people get memberships, man. You know, memberships, I like it more than super chats because memberships are giving somebody something. And if you look, I worked my ass off on this shit. You know what I mean? So, like, don't be shy. You want to send a super chat, you want to send, I appreciate that. This is a lot of freaking work. You know what I mean? This is a lot of work. Like I said, I've been working on this one about a month. So I really appreciate it, man. I really, really do. I'm not going to say, oh, send that money, send that super chat, send that, match this, match that. I just can't do that shit. I don't know. But I work hard on this stuff, so I really appreciate it when anybody donates, send something, super chat. You know what I mean? Thank you, man. I really, really appreciate it. To get to Somerville, man, people know that I needed to get a hotel. I needed to get a rental car. I got help with the hotel, which I appreciate it. I very much appreciate it. Because it takes a village, so grab a membership. Appreciate that. But Barnum, basically was given an opinion that was shaped. He didn't want to cross Reilly. He didn't want to cross Reilly at all. He didn't want to be the doctor that helped, a red rum, stay in juvenile court. Heffernan didn't know that when he chose Barnum. He thought Barnum was a straight up guy. He thought he was choosing somebody with integrity. He didn't realize he was choosing somebody that was already compromised. The addendum became a weapon because without that addendum, it would have been hard for the SJC to reverse this. I don't think they could have. But the addendum, the SJC had everything they needed, right? They reversed Heffernan. They ordered a second transfer hearing, right? They paved the way for Eddie to be sitting in prison 31 years now. They set the stage for Eddie's conviction that followed. They are the reason. Barnum's addendum wasn't a footnote. It was a loaded weapon. It was a quiet, professional looking, weapon that they used to take Eddie down. And I'm going to tell you what the addendum did when I come right back, man. I appreciate everybody. Shout out to you guys. We're going to go over a lot more of this. Give me 1 minute. We be right back.
Oh, Grandma wants to see me again.
Mm-hmm.
We just called Auntie Ann and Auntie Tina. I want to see my granddaughter. I'll call her to let me know. Auntie Tina took care of it.
But you kept it in the dark, so your case would stay sound. Oh, they locked it all up in the Brady box, secured by a system of political locks. They hid the unsealed notes, they hid the design to keep an innocent man doing 30 years of time. But the hinges are rusting, the cardboard is thin, and the hammer of Rule 30 is about to cave it in. It wasn't an oversight, it wasn't a mistake. It's the law that you shatter, it's the lives that you break. When the prosecutor values a win over the truth, you get 30 years of stolen, locked away youth. But the defense is moving, the filing is done, and the walls of that box are melting under the sun. Folders are open, the secrets are bare. Margot Nash wrote the truth for the world to see there. The website is shining a light on the fraud, exposing the path that the prosecutors flood. Oh, they locked it all up, but the truth won't die with the Rule 30 hammer. Justice will fly, no more locked away lips, no more political games. The power of truth brings a heat to their flames.
Square one was a stage. The scripts were all signed. Before the first siren, before the yellow line, a kid from the corner, a town in a cage. They traded his youth for the front page rage. 30 long years in a shadow-bound cell for a story they manufactured to sell. But ink starts to fade and the truth starts to bleed when power and ambition are all that they need. This is Eddie's truth, rising from the floor, knocking like thunder at the courthouse door. You can bury the facts, you can script out the youth, but you can't lock away Eddie's truth. Yeah, the silence is breaking, the walls have to fall. Eddie's truth is gonna outlive them all. They talked about justice, but looked at the polls, trading a life for their political goals. Nash wrote the pages, the web spread the light, exposing the ghosts that were manufactured that night. The Somerville streets know the weight of the lie, how a gavel can swing while the innocent cry. But July brings the motion, the Rule 35, to strip all the grease from a rigged up trial. This is Eddie's truth, rising from the floor, knocking like thunder at the courthouse door. You can bury the facts, you can script out the youth, but you can't lock away Eddie's truth. Yeah, the silence is breaking, the walls have to fall. Eddie's truth is gonna outlive them all. 30 years of waiting for the scales to tip right. 30 years of turning the dark into light. It's more than emotion on legal pad sheets. It's a declaration to the Somerville streets. This is Eddie's truth, rising from the floor, knocking like thunder at the courthouse door. You can bury the facts, you can script out the youth, but you can't lock away Eddie's truth. Yeah, the silence is breaking, the walls have to fall. Eddie's truth is gonna outlive them all. Eddie's coming, the light's breaking through. No more whispers in the dark.
All right, man. Now, don't forget August 7th, man. Be the first to watch the long form trailer of the Commonwealth versus Eddie O'Brien. You know, a documentary that's set to dismantle a 30-year-old injustice, which we've been telling you all about that. You know, but the documentary is going to be explosive from what I understand. You know, it's going to be very, very explosive. So get out there, you know, food, party, auctions. There's a bar upstairs, I believe. You know, the truth about EddieO'Brien.com. Go there, learn that shit. You know, all the information is right there. It's right there. It's and Pacer. I get a lot from Pacer too. You know, but go there August 7th, 6 to 10 p.m. George Dilboy, VFW, Post 529, 351 Summer Street, Somerville, Massachusetts. You know, don't forget the columns. What I tell you about the columns. You can't take from one, you know, you got to have both numbers. You have an ID number from your mom, one from your dad. Not too hard, man. Not too hard. You know? So, what were we talking about? Oh, how can I forget? We was talking about the addendum. We were talking about another weasel, Barnum, which people thought that they could trust him. But it comes out that you can't trust him. There we are. It's been a long day. It's been a long day, people. Hey, it looks like Erin Murphy ordered her copy on Jerry. Shout out to you. And thank you, Courtney, for the five gifted memberships. You know, I'm sure 5 people will very much appreciate that, you know. Absolutely. Very much appreciate that. So let me get back into this. I mean, Barnum gave them exactly what they needed. You know what I mean? Gave them exactly what they needed. Whether he did it willingly, he did it under pressure. He gave them exactly what. I got my AI glasses here. There we go. Because these lights are bright as shit. You know, he gave them just what they needed. Heffernan saw it too. You know, and who paid the price? Eddie paid the price. 31 friggin' years, Eddie paid the price. You know, 31 years, Eddie O'Brien has been paying the price. You know, and that's why when it came time to discuss this, you know, when JFK was talking about this case and I started paying attention to it, and you see all the injustice that was going on, you know, I'm glad I got involved. I'm glad I got involved, you know, but the Heffernan thing, this is huge to show you, you know, how bad the you know, what Barnum did with his addendum, because, you know, his report wasn't enough, because when Heffernan asked about Dr. Barnum's addendum, you know, that extra piece that he's added to his report, Heffernan didn't dodge the question, you know? He didn't pretend Eddie was a minor. He didn't act like it was just paperwork. Heffernan, I think, made it clear that Barnum's addendum was one of the reasons the SJC reversed his decision, because with that addendum, it was enough. You know, why did Heffernan? He said he chose Barnum. Why? Because he believed that Barnum was a good doctor. He was unbiased. He was professional. But what did he learn? That Barnum's a shitty doctor. He's biased. He's not professional. He's someone that would stick it in Eddie so fast, which he did all of that and above. Heffernan wasn't playing politics. Heffernan was trying to help the defense or the prosecution. He was calling it straight down the middle, a political judge. You know what I mean? He wanted the shit clean, right? Heffernan wanted a scientific opinion, and that's why he trusted that Dr. Barnum. But Barnum wasn't operating in that kind of world, right? Barnum knew he couldn't screw over Reilly. You know, Barnum was operating under Tom Reilly. You know, Heffernan thought he could trust this guy. And Barnum knew exactly what would happen, right? If he wrote anything else that made Eddie look even, you know, anything good. If he made Eddie, he wanted Eddie to sound like a super predator, you know, like say he's not treatable, all that shit. And that's what Barnum did. Barnum knew Reilly would destroy him if he crossed the district attorney's narrative. Heffernan didn't realize that at the time. I bet he thought he was just choosing a scientist, a doctor with friggin' integrity. You know what I mean? He didn't realize he was choosing somebody that was already under political pressure. Because Barnum's original report was not strong enough to justify transferring Eddie to adult court. Oh, I need some extra paper, please. So Barnum added what's called an addendum. A second piece, a clarification, you know, more thought about Eddie O'Brien. And let me tell you, that addendum wasn't neutral. No, sirree, Bob. It wasn't neutral at all. It played right into the prosecution's hands. It gave the SJC exactly what they needed to say, see, even a doctor thinks Eddie's a friggin' whack job. No offense. They even think Eddie should be treated as an adult. They think he should be in Walpole. But Heffernan saying this addendum was bullshit. This addendum was partly responsible for, not partly, it was responsible for the SJC reversing the ruling. Eddie not getting bail. The second transfer hearing. Eddie being pushed into adult court. Upstairs, please. You remember that, Trish, right? Upstairs, please. Wait, no, my son's a juvenile. He should be downstairs. Upstairs, please. Barnum's extra pages, extra credit, whatever you want to call it, right? They call it addendum to make it sound pretty. But his extra credit didn't just influence the case. It changed the entire path of Eddie's life. It changed everything. Everything changed with that BS addendum because it was so damn powerful. Nobody's going to break down this law work like I have. You know, when I'm not working, I'm reading shit, I'm going through case law. You know, no one's going to break it down like I did. See, Barnum's addendum gave them that cover that they needed. It didn't matter that the addendum was shaky. It didn't matter, right? Even if the addendum contradicted the original report, which it very much did. But it was useful to the district attorney. It was useful to the narrative, to the politician, and Heffernan said it himself. Nothing was going to save this kid. Nothing was going to save Eddie O'Brien. After Judge Heffernan made his decision that Eddie should remain in juvenile system, he recalled that all hell broke loose. According to Heffernan, his decision forced a change in the law in order to get Eddie tried as an adult. Imagine forced a change in the law to get Eddie tried as an adult. All hell broke loose. All hell broke loose. But according to Heffernan's decision, forced a change in the law in order to get Eddie tried as an adult. Heffernan stated that his decision to try Eddie as a juvenile was perfectly sound. His reasoning at the time was the nature of the crime cannot be the sole determining factor as to whether or not Eddie is tried as an adult. According to Heffernan, even if Eddie was guilty, he should have been tried in the juvenile system. From his extensive experience dealing with troubled youths and his own personal experience, Heffernan noted that it is possible, especially for a male, to have an episode like Eddie's that is not psychosis and will not occur again. Furthermore, the punishment Eddie would have received in the juvenile system was not exactly a slap on the wrist. It was a serious punishment that would have put him behind bars for at least 20 years. Heffernan stated that Eddie's size made him a tailor-made bad guy and easy to demonize. Heffernan said that his ruling was enough to memorialize him. According to Heffernan, it was clear from the beginning that there was a political movement going on. District Attorney Reilly showed up and said he was going to try this case himself, which was strange since the district attorney never tried cases. In this case, Reilly did try the case and would hold press conferences about it almost every day. When Eddie's case came along, most institutions that help rehabilitate juvenile offenders no longer existed. According to Heffernan, these institutions never should have been closed, but they were. Heffernan said that there was a push to reopen some of these institutions, but the worry was that they would be filled with African Americans from specific intercity areas. God damn. That is just crazy.
Oh shit, you know, I didn't put it in the cup.
He was a kid, was just really big for his age. He was not an adult. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I appreciate everybody here. I hope everyone hit the like button. I hope you all subscribed at least. You know, can you do me that much? And just sub up. Come over to the YouTube page and sub up. You know, everybody's over there watching on Twitter. Can the people on Twitter come over to YouTube? I really appreciate it if that ain't too much to ask. 1 second. Really appreciate it. It's not like this shit just falls out the damn sky.
Selmark. Yeah. You know where I stand. Yeah. You know where I stand. These walls echo my name, but they don't know my truth. Captured in a frame, but my spirit's bulletproof. Took my freedom away, but couldn't silence my call. That whisper in the night, I'm innocent after all.
I am still here. Hear my voice, can't you see?
I rise with the sun.
Can nobody bury me? I am still here. Hear my heart, can't you feel?
Truth runs deep within.
It's the only thing that's real.
Yeah. Counting down the years, but seasons on pause. Watch my dreams fade like behind bars. Hope is my anchor, a lifeline in the storm. Warmed by time, but my spirit won't conform. They label me a ghost, but my heart's still alive. The weight of a crime that I never contrived. No truth could chain me, no lie could erase who I am inside. Rooted deep in this place.
Every sunrise whispers, justice will find a way.
I keep my head high.
Living for that day.
To those who believe,
Thank you for seeing me.
the man beyond the wall.
Longing to be free.
Refuse to let bitterness define my legacy. Instead I hold faith, letting hope set me free. One day these gates will swing wide, truth will walk with pride. And when that moment comes, I'll be standing side by side.
Until that day arrives, I'll stand tall in my fight. Keep saying who I am, voice echoing through the night. I carry my story, it's far from over now. A heart of resilience, I'll show you just how. I am he and he is me. I am innocent, you see.
My story's still being written.
One day I shall be free. I'll chase the dawn, I'll seek the light. I won't back down.
With every step I take,
I'm claiming solid ground.
yeah. You know where I stand.
Just watching on Twitter.
Yeah. You know where I stand. These walls echo my name, but they don't know my truth. Captured in a frame, but my spirit's bulletproof. Took my freedom away, but couldn't silence my call. That whisper in the night.
All right, man. We back. Boy, it is hot, boy. I'll tell you, it is warm right now. Oh, man, that friggin' Adi Ortiz, man. Adi. I'll tell you what, Adi was in the chat the other day. Not my chat. He was in someone else's chat, And it's crazy because it really drives me nuts, the people that will stand free Eddie and all the shit that Adi talked about Eddie would, be nice to him or. But Adi, man, damn Adi, man. Let me find what I'm looking for. Because this was crazy. Adi was asked, he was in the chat and people was, asking him questions and stuff. And, a question came up. Let me find it because I want to be exact. Where was it? Let's see. Oh, if it was this way, okay. This ain't them. Well, it basically came up. This says Adi with the DNA, that shows it's not Eddie. Is he still saying he's related to Eddie? No, I don't think Adi's saying he's related to Eddie. But oh, maybe this is it. Yes, here we go. First, I think here he was talking to Aaron Murphy, and he said, "How can you say it's sad for Aaron, but not Paul and Ryan?" Let's see. He said, "Can we keep it real, people? You all drink too much Kool-Aid."
Oh, yeah.
He said, "We drink too much Kool-Aid." Oh my God, what a creep he is. So then he says, someone said, he said, "And I'm still saying I had nothing to do with it." Okay. What was the other thing? It says, Adi, if Eddie didn't do it, if the DNA isn't his, who do you think it was? Now, you would think Adi would have shot right back, because for years Adi's been saying, "Oh, Eddie's guilty, he's guilty." Adi would have came right back and said, "Oh, it's Eddie," but that ain't what Adi said. Adi said, now the question was, Adi, if Eddie didn't do it, if DNA isn't his, who do you think it was? And Adi's answer was, "I have no clue." Wait a minute, Adi. You've been saying for years that it was Eddie, going to every meeting and every chat that you can, and it didn't end there. Adi, I have a few theories, but I think you know more than I do, so I won't accuse anyone and just let it play out. There was another question for Adi. Adi, do you have doubts about Eddie being guilty now with the DNA not matching and no blood on his person and passing the serum test? And let's see. And Adi said, "I agree. I agree." And that was his question to RN. That question came from RN. RN Shock Trauma said, Adi, I have a few theories, but I think you know more than I do. Let it play out. Oh, that's when he said, "I have no clue." And then the Harbor Lounge, shout out to the Harbor Lounge. They said, Adi, if science shows DNA doesn't match Eddie, don't you want the real killer taken care of? And what does Adi say? Yes, I do, Harbor. Yes, I do. Will you believe that? Like, Adi, you should have said, what do you mean? The real killer is being taken care of, right? So they said, Adi, how do we write this then? Like, how do we write this ship? And what does Adi say? And shout out to Aaron Murphy. Adi thought you were absolutely positive it was Eddie. Are you backpedaling? Whoa. Adi's backpedaling. So Adi responds, right? No clue, Hopper. I'm not a cop. It's not my job to figure it out. Like, wow. All these years, oh, it's Eddie, it's Eddie, it's Eddie, it's Eddie. And if you believe it's Eddie, then your questions, these should have never been your answers. Right? what do you call that? Your conscience, your mind, when you got to relax in, and Adi's in Disney, and maybe he threw a couple back. I think he was found out that his wife was diagnosed with cancer, I think he said. So we went to Disney, or he's in Disney. But his answer was like, no clue. I'm not a cop. It's not my job to figure it out. And then Nahaba says, Ed Adi, well, seemed the cops didn't help. I'm saying it helps you too, right? And then Nahaba said, who else was there that night? If they aren't subscribed, then good riddance. They aren't one game, whatever.
What? You good?
And then Adi put never Eddie told Jay Brill that I was in the house. And then Adi said earlier, oh, we love and miss you, Janet. And then he has to double back saying, oh, it's my belief that he got cut on his hand when he was stabbing her and slipped down. Make up your mind, Adi. But that's basically that's basically what he had to say. But I was just like I was kind of blown away. I was like, wow, this guy, man, you never, it never fails with Mr. AO. No, never fails with that guy. Unbelievable. But I thought I'd just bring that up really, really quick, and for people to yeah, he should have just shut his mouth. Perry should have shut his mouth years ago, but he's always open. And I think they offered him like $3,000 for like 15 minutes. And at that point, he wouldn't come on any longer. And I think because at that point, he was told, man, shut your mouth. Exactly. FKAO. That's what we're talking about. FKAO. And the Barnum guy, whether it was willingly or under pressure, that he's another one that decided to screw over a 15-year-old kid. I mean, these people have to meet their maker one day. You know what I mean? And they have to explain why they did what they did. Oh, I did it for a job. I could never sell out my integrity for a job. There's more jobs. You know what I mean? And God forbid, you got to do what you got to do. You know, if it gets to that. But to sell out your integrity, yeah, if anybody has any of that footage from back then, I can get it onto a disc. If anyone has it on VHS, that'll be awesome. We played some footage, that we have the truth serum footage. We played some of that stuff, but yeah, who's excited for August 7th, huh? I am. And I'm not used to speaking with live crowds. I do it, but I think it's gonna be, and I'm kind of honored that the O'Briens would ask me if I would give a presentation, give a breakdown of the timeline from July 23rd. You know, I was like, wow, thank you. I really appreciate it. Can't meet their maker if they go to hell. You know, I'll tell you what, I heard a joke the other day. They was like, you know, the devil likes throwing shit up in our faces all the time. Well, how about you got kicked out of heaven? Who gets kicked out of heaven? You know, you did. You're like the only person in the history. I thought that was so friggin' funny.
You got
You
kicked out of
know,
heaven for a
he
reason.
said you got kicked out of heaven. Thank you, Aunt Jerry. I really appreciate that. You know, and it's God. I'm ministering to God to help Eddie, man. You know, something kind of brought me to you guys. You know, something kind of brought me to JFK. Not sure what it was, you know, but I'm glad it happened because I was able to see the I don't know what show it was when I first seen JFK. I think it might have been the um Young Jerks, the Celtics one,
Yep.
the one he blew up with. I was like, yeah, that was pretty fire, man. You know, the Karen Reed and outside the Garden and the guy saying, you know, yeah, you're guilty like the Canton police, and that just everything was that was a great video, and that's how I started watching them, you know. And then you know they started talking about the Eddie O'Brien case, and I was just very interested in that case, man. And I'm glad I got hooked on that case because I'm glad I was able to help break a lot of stuff down for a lot of y'all, you know, that not everybody understands all that shit on them pages. And I really believe that I help people understand things a little bit better that they didn't understand before. The TPOX, you know, the DNA. Now people know what? There's three aisles, right? And the milk and the cereal can have sour milk, you know. You know, there's a mother, father, you know, and it's like, you know, you have the two numbers, you know, 11 and 12, and it's like you can't get it. You know, Janet was a 8 and 11. Milk goes sour in the cereal. I always sure it does. You know, and you know, with the 8 9 for Eddie, and it's like, where does the 11 come from, or where does the 12 come from? It's like a 12, and that's why they said Eddie O'Brien's blood is excluded. It's excluded. Does anybody have any questions? Anything in this case that that they're confused about? You know, and even if you don't want to say it in the chat, you can send an email, can we keep it real 5 at gmail.com, and I'll try to break it down for you on my next live. You know, if anybody has any questions that they want to know about Heffernan, Dr. Barnum. You know, Heffernan thought that Barnum would help the court understand Eddie's profile. And I don't think Heffernan had any idea that Barnum also had a relationship with Tom Reilly. You know, and like I've been saying, Barnum knew that crossing Reilly could end his career. And who else knows what it would end? So Barnum submits his original report, you know, and his first report is filed, right? The original report wasn't strong enough to justify sending Eddie to adult prison. That's why Eddie was on his way to get bail. And it didn't give the prosecution, right, that dangerous narrative that they needed, right? And this is where I think that all the pressure started building up on Reilly. Absolutely, man. So many people in this great chat, and I always say it, it's quality over quantity. I don't need 400 people watching this. Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice for Eddie, but I'm happy with the 32 that are with us right now. And it's on several platforms. So that number, you multiply it by three, and Facebook does pretty good overall with all the different groups that it gets shared to. And Twitter, gets hundreds of views over on Twitter, so and realistically, even even money wise, with the 30 people that are in here, they support me, they buy memberships, the super chats, they send me Venmos, and I say it all the time that money goes right back into the program. It goes into paying Pesa. It goes into paying StreamYard. It goes into paying Cox. Just for y'all, that's a cable company. Stop it. You know. It goes into paying, all whatever I need, all these different stupid apps that I never cancel, you know, that I actually need to make artwork, to make videos, so all that stuff, all of it. So yeah, and the original report wasn't strong enough. Yeah, I'm looking for something, y'all. Let's see. We're gonna play this real quick. Let me see if it came out. We're gonna play this real quick, and the pitches, courtesy of Sherry Lee and Denise Noel. Shout out to you guys for the pitches. Sherry Lee's timestamps on there. I have a watermark on there as well because it's the video and it's automatically done with the program that I use. You know, um, but yeah, no, shout out to Sherry Lee, shout out to Denise for getting these pictures and videos. I probably should do it on the other computer, but we'll see. All right, you know what? Give me a minute, yo. I gotta do it on this other bit. Yeah, how do you charge a 15-year-old as an adult? Right? Yet they have changed the law in mass on that. Absolutely. You are absolutely right. We talked about that, in nauseism, and also the parole stuff. We talked about that. You have to basically admit, that you are guilty, or they won't even think of giving you parole, which is totally crazy. Totally crazy. And if you didn't admit you were guilty, they didn't want to give you parole. It's like what kind of peanut butter and jelly shit is that?
Yeah. No fluff in the middle.
That it's crazy. That's what it was. Crescendo. Here we go. And this is just a bunch of, I put the song behind it. Let's this will work better when I get a producer. Come on. All right, here we go.
Here you go. I'll be up in.
Come on, man. Yeah. Okay, how you doing? Hope you're feeling better. Y'all probably can't. Never mind. I know you can hear it. All right, let me fix that. My bad, people. I thought y'all can hear it, but you can't. So let me try this again. Today was the last treatment. Nice, man.
Congratulations.
And I feel okay. Okay, I see why. All right, give me a minute. Yo, congratulations to there you go. I figure we asked that question if you don't like the content, because they won't speak in the chat, but the polls are anonymous. And I learned that from Turtle Dick the other day, so I figured I put it up there, and Robert's last treatment, everybody, man, prayers over to Robert. Today was his last treatment. I remember 29 treatments ago when he started that number, and I was like, oh, this guy is, God bless him. God bless him, man. You did it. Way to go for you, kid. A guy that's been down with us since day one, Robert, man. Modding for us since day one. Stepped up right away. And I stepped out of nowhere. I wasn't even streaming anymore. I gave that up. I had the channel sitting there for like maybe 200, 150, 200, subscribers. And that was about it, and started talking to Eddie. Tried to hook up, tried to go on the JFK show, it didn't really work out, you know. I had his blessing, said, hey, go ahead, your mother, go talk about it, So I did, and you guys just, came right over and, supported me. So we keep doing it, man. We keep doing it. And now it's like such a passion, man. I really want to get this done for Eddie. Like, I really want to get this done. So let's see. Now you can hear it.
In the shadows, where the whispers die, a pulsing bass echoes as the violins sigh. Tension builds like a storm in the night. It's the tale of justice caught in the fight. It wasn't an oversight, it wasn't a mistake. It's the law that you shatter, it's the lives that you break. When the prosecutor values a win over the truth, you get 30 years of stolen, locked away youth. But the defense is moving with purpose and grace. The filing is done, it's a whole new race. The walls of that box are melting under the sun. Hope is alive and the battle's begun. A dramatic soaring electric guitar takes flight, backed by the strings swelling with might. The sound breaks the chains of oppression's reign as the shift towards victory starts to gain. Now the folders are open, secrets laid bare. Margot Nash wrote the truth for the world to declare. The website is shining, illuminating the fraud, exposing the path that the prosecutor flawed. In the symphony of justice we rise and we soar. With each note we break through, we'll settle the score. From the shadows to the spotlight, we're finding our way. With the orchestra leading, we won't go astray. Echoes of the lost, their voices in the wind. The stories are written and now we begin. With the powerful strings and the basses embrace, we'll rewrite the rules in this infinite space. The tension builds higher as we gather our strength. In the face of adversity, we'll go to great lengths. Harmony restored as the truth comes alive. In the crescendo of justice, our spirits revive. So listen, dear world, to the symphony sound. It's not just a battle, it's a victory found. From the bass to the violins, let freedom take flight. In the crescendo of truth, we ignite the night.
What did you show? Excluded my man in that courtroom floor. Not a maybe, not a doubt. They sealed the fate. How you sell that story when the evidence won't wait? Stabbings and chaos, the narrative spins, but the DNA's are whispering.
Where do we begin?
Where do we begin? You're trying to.
All right, man. Big shout out to Robert ringing the bell 3 times. He said this morning I rang the bell 3 rings. Thanks for all the support, you guys. It helped a lot, man. Yo, blessings, Robert. Blessings to you. It really yeah, shout out to you, man. You know, I'm just kind of speechless. I really am. I'm speechless, Robert. You know? You know, so God bless you. He said today he rang the bell 3 times.
What?
Robert, he said his last treatment today. He rang the bell 3 times.
God bless. Amen.
That's right.
Hallelujah. God is good, baby.
You know, we look forward to seeing you, Robert, on the 7th, you know, and we're going to
Absolutely.
talk more about the 7th, probably tomorrow. You know, Denise Noel says, Robert, I know there's such a great relief ringing it. It's one great accomplishment for sure, a huge milestone. Congratulations. Absolutely. Congratulations, Robert. You know, I hope it, you got this beat. Let's go, F cancer, because I don't rock with cancer, and I don't rock with cancer and anybody that says that they are team cancer. I don't play that stuff. But listen, people, man, there's so much more that I really wanted to talk about, but I work at night. I drive a big ass truck, and the last thing I want to do is make my own highway and shit in the middle of the woods somewhere. Not saying I never done it. Going down some of them dirt roads back in Maine back in the day, man, like using Waze for GPS, and you end up like in someone's backyard. Like, how the fuck am I on a golf course? I'm like, this is just crazy. How did I get on a golf course over here? But some of them post offices in Maine, like up in the White Mountains and stuff, it's like, yo, like you really know you out there, like Franconia Notch. I was way up there one day, and I had a timeshare up there, and went to the gas station, and the guy looked at me, and they knew I wasn't from around there. I stuck out like a sore thumb. They knew I was a city boy. But let me see. Let's see who gave. All right, big shout out to Courtney for the 5 gifted. Really appreciate that. Appreciate anybody, and congratulations to the 5 people that were gifted, memberships. Shout out to you guys, and anything you want to know about this case, send me an email, put it in the comment section, check the replay. People, hype the video. If you don't know how, you go over when you replay the video. It's like you go down the comments and you go over to your right, and it should bring you a box that says hype the video. I think you scroll over again. You hype the video. Then you X out of the video. You click the video again. You repeat the process 2 more times. You could do it a total of 3 times.
Don't forget, and shout out prayers to Jessica's son that's, having his thing done today.
Oh yeah, I guess prayers out to Unforgettable and her son, I guess, having a procedure in the hospital. So, prayers go out to that young man and their family. I hope everything is looking up to Unforgettable, and her family. So yeah, I just found out about that today. So her son's having a procedure. So prayers go out to, the Miss Unforgettable, Mr. Unforgettable, and the whole Unforgettable family. So prayers go out to that young man. I think like just graduated high school not long ago. But yeah, everyone say a prayer, to Unforgettable and her family, and congratulations to the new members, prayers up, and I'll talk to you all later. And like we always do, we're gonna play a little bit of music, not too long, maybe one or two songs, but I appreciate y'all.
Not promote or promotion any illegal activities. All content provided by this channel is meant only for educational purpose only.
Just shock news. A 15-year-old boy they could easily use. They threw his clean clothes in a bloodstained car and locked up a peacemaker behind iron bars. They call him a predator to hide their own lies, but we see the truth when we look in his eyes. A loyal young soul, so gentle and polite. We're standing together to finish this fight. Unchain the gentle giant, let a good soul breathe. Free Eddie the Teddy, it's time he's released. Break down the courtroom walls, let the truth ring clear. Bring our selfless boy home in the 30-year tear. They hid all the palm prints, the DNA strands, put a lifetime of blame on a child's scarred hands. But the science is speaking, the silence is broke. We're tearing the fabric of the web that they spoke. He's grateful and compassionate, steady and true. An innocent man wearing prison cell blue. The system can bend, but it's breaking today. We won't stop shouting till he walks away. Unchain the gentle giant, let a good soul breathe. Free Eddie the Teddy, it's time he's released. Break down the courtroom walls, let the truth ring clear. Bring our selfless boy home in the 30-year tear. Tired of their stories, tired of the pain. We rise up together, we'll dance in the rain. He's our gentle giant, our shining star. We'll fight till the end, we'll carry him
Let me tell you about a kid, only 15 years. Eddie O'Brien, caught in the gears. Political pawns, they played their game. Power and money all in his name. But was tight with wealth, no simple fate. Climbed the ladder, sealed Eddie's state. Wayne but a prosecutor with a purpose. In the court of politics, none could touch us. This ain't just a story, it's a legacy. Eddie was the stone that shaped their destiny. With every connection, every hand they shake, Eddie's case became the ground they break. Reilly and Bud, best friends. friends since youth. Built a law firm, they spun the truth. When Reilly took the case, he was never alone. Built on foundations, powerfully grown. With the Budwell network, they made a show. Charlie Baker in the mix, he's part of the flow. All linked together, climbing the heights. On Eddie's back, they rose to new sights. This ain't just a story, it's a legacy. Eddie was the stone that shaped their destiny. With every connection, every hand they shake, Eddie's case became the ground they break. Kimberly Budd, her name now in lights. Chief Justice of the court in the highest of fights. Calls Reilly godfather, mentor, uncle too. Let that sink in deep. Betty's pain paid through. Judge Heffernan ruled fair, you played your part. But the pressure came down like a storm in the dark. It wasn't about truth, wasn't about rights. It was all about power and their political heights. This ain't just a story, it's a legacy. Eddie was the stone that shaped their destiny. With every connection, every hand they shake, Eddie's case became the ground they break. Eddie got used by a system so cruel. A pawn on the chessboard, they played him as a fool. So remember his name, let it echo, let it be free. Eddie till it's backwards. Fight for the right you see. Can we keep it real timeless? Let the truth ignite. We don't bend, we don't break. We will stand for the light.
Eddie O'Brien, oh what a story to tell. 15 years young, caught in a prison cell. Trapped in the system, ain't that just a shame? For a crime he didn't do, they played him like a game. Pattern so clear, yet nobody sees. Intentional lies blowing in the breeze. Documented truths, but they're buried so deep. Poor kid lost his life while the system's asleep. Free Eddie, free him till it's backward. Guilty on paper, but he never had the hard facts. Let a fool think he won, that's how it goes. Eddie's innocence buried beneath. Innocence shattered in a world so torn. They said it was fear reopening the doors, filled with whispers behind closed floors. A white boy convicted made it look fair, but in the shadow of justice the truth laid bare. Eddie was a name, but just a pawn in the game. Sacrificed and railroaded, nothing felt the same. Oh, just a boy.